Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is a very special day, and as you've probably been able to tell from the title of this particular episode, we have a guest with me and we're filming in a different location. We are having a chat with the one, the only, the incomparable, the fabulous, the talented Jeanette Douglas from Jeanette Douglas Designs. Because of course, as some of you know, I'm doing Jeanette Douglas June. Hi, Jeanette.
What a start. Thank you. Thank you, Judy, for having me. It's lovely.
I'm very excited she was willing to do this, so yay! So we're going to do a little bit of an interview with Jeanette, and I'm going to ask her all of the questions I've always wanted to ask Jeanette, more or less.
Oh, dear.
Now, first of all, I do want to say I sent her the questions in advance. She didn't necessarily read through all of them, so it's really going to be the real answers. It's going to be great. All right. So I just wanted to start off with, let's talk a little bit about your stitching journey. How old were you when you started stitching?
Really young. My parents were immigrants from Holland, and they had their parents still living in Holland, and they would send packages. And they sent those packages that were little cardboard pieces, and you poked holes, and then you went from whatever place to whatever with your yarn. So that's sort of my first remembrance of stitching. And then again, with the Dutch connection, we always went to the Dutch store every Saturday to go get things, and my mom would get, our favorite cheese and whatever, buns and whatnot. And I wandered over to the other section, and there was a little crewel kit, and I thought, oh, I could do this. And I would have been a teenager. I think I was about 16, 17, and I picked up the kit and said, oh, I can do this. And I did. Who knew that you could just pick up crewel kit and learn it? So, and that began my love of needle and thread. And yeah, I picked up a few more of those kind of kits along the way. Did Creative Circle in my early 20s. Went to stitching parties, really exciting. And yeah, did all kinds of stitching. It really didn't matter what it was, but
if it involved a needle and thread, you were up for it.
I was up to learning it. So did canvas, the whole raft. So it was great. And then just slowly meandered over to just cross stitch and enjoying all the things that counted thread can bring.
So let's talk about your stitching style a little bit. So are you a in-hand stitcher, or are you a poke and stab stitcher?
I'd like to be poke and stab, but don't go fast enough. I know some people have these neat setups and they seem to go quite quickly, but yeah, I'm a sewer. I just
yeah. So she's a stitch in hand, and she sews ridiculously fast. She's a crazy fast stitcher. And we like her anyway. Anywho. Do you have a favorite count of fabric that you like to work on?
I've always loved 40.
I was going to say, if it turned out to be an answer other than 40, I was going to have to correct her, because I'm going, your answer's 40, by the way.
But, I mean, as many of you know, I've done lots on 32 and 36, but mostly that was not really to please myself. I tried to do a run at 40 count early in my career. I think I have pieces on in 2002, so that would have been just 2 years in, and they did not sell like the Take Time series did on the 32 count, so I took it as and they were much in the same vein. It should have done well, and I took it as people weren't ready for 40 count. And hence, basically then in the ensuing years, did 32, 36 for a long time. But I'm at 40 again. I'm very excited.
And then people like me go, that's really nice. And then I take it back down to 32. Again, you can stitch them on the count that suits you. But I would say most of your designs, you do need to do it on an even weave linen of some kind.
Yes.
Which we'll get to why that is in a couple of minutes. Do you have a favorite thread?
Well, in generalities, silk thread. But if you wanted a specific company, then yes, I would probably say Gloriana.
Not only Gloriana, I think she's got a favorite color of Gloriana. Do you think you have a favorite color of Gloriana?
Red clay?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Because this is what I think your favorite color is.
Well, green, probably olive green.
No, Bellagio.
Oh, well, I like that too.
So Bellagio is a very gay. So again, this is just me. I think she uses it in a lot of her designs.
Yeah, Bellagio and bluegrass.
Okay, so red clay, olive something, Bellagio, and bluegrass.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Do you ever use a hoop, Q-snap, scroll rods, those kinds of things?
Always a hoop. And a hoop from the 80s. That's really embarrassing. I'm embarrassed saying it. Well, because...
Does it work for you?
It's plastic, but I love that thing.
Yes. My answer to everything is if it works for you, then that's the tool you use.
Yeah.
But you use it for things, because we were talking about this, eyelets and things like that. So even though you're an in-hand stitcher, you sometimes do pull it out to do certain things.
Yeah, no, I do. I always stitch with the hoop. I don't.
Even with your sewing method, you
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I use this shelf to good use.
All right. Not everybody has that, and so you'll have to adjust. Anywho, do you have a favorite stitching tool, excluding your needle, fabric, floss, and scissors?
A really good pin cushion.
Okay.
I have to have a fairly large pin cushion that I can put any number of needles on it. And the pin cushion I'm using right now, Flossie thinks is hers. So now it has been very difficult to stitch with the dog.
Okay, we're going to do a slight clarification just in case anybody's wondering. Flossie is the name of the dog. That's who Flossie
And the
is.
puppy runs off with my... And so now I'm trying to rethink this. So I was using something some lovely ladies had made for me, and it was like almost like a big sandbag because, well, anyway, long story short, I loved it too, but I like this roundy ball thing I have it because I could put the needles. Those are the ones that I don't use quite as much. These are the ones it's pathetic. Really, how you work it out for yourself, right?
Yes, and you have to work it out for yourself because every stitcher is different, and so you have to find what works for you. Period.
Yeah.
And if it works for person A and it doesn't work for person B, that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, and we all do. Like I see it at the many retreats. Just so many people have a whole raft of things, and some things work at home. And they don't when you go to retreat. Yep. You end up, I have to adjust. That's not going to work for me. But yeah, my little thing is a super good pin cushion. It's my fave.
When did you start designing?
1998. But it was... It really, when I started to produce for print, was 99. But the first drawings were started in 98.
Do you remember what your first pattern was?
Absolutely.
And it was?
Rocky Mountain Sampler.
Oh, I think I showed that one.
Oh, did you?
I think I showed. So if you go back to the very first one in June, I think I showed that in my.
That was number one.
Okay, I'll go back and check that. If not, I'll. Interesting. And so, before you became a designer, what did you do?
Oh, I was.
What was your other life?
My other life was a nurse, an RN, always in psychiatry, at the local Calgary General Hospital, and yeah, just
Okay.
acute psych.
Here's
Yeah.
here's trivia that nobody needs to know, but so I was born at the Calgary General Hospital. It doesn't exist anymore. So what prompted you to start designing?
My world had always been some kind of craft in it. I should be bringing my cute bears to show you. I even made bears.
Okay.
What can I say? You know, really anything. I crocheted, I made bears, I painted, I did tons of folk art painting. I worked for shops and did all their dried flower arrangements. And that was all on the side, working as a nurse at the same time. And then I did a really wonderful trip out in the Rockies, and I saw the Rocky Mountains in stitches, and Rocky Mountain Sampler was born. And then I did the rest of Canada, and I never looked back.
And those samplers are now in booklet form, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes,
can
so
get
they
all
are
you can get
now.
all of the Canadian ones together as a package.
Yeah, called the Canadian Journey series, and it has all 8 patterns that geographically make up Canada.
I didn't buy that one because I was buying them individually. Yeah, that's what happens for me with Jeanette, is Jeanette releases them and I buy them individually. Anyway, can you talk a little bit about your design process?
Design process. Most of the time I have to be sparked by something. So be it a piece of fabric or a special color, or it could be you see something, for me, particularly in nature, that you go, oh yeah, that'd be good in stitch. You know, I just get all excited. And I often, you know, grab a little paper and draw a few things. Or it'll be just words that are meaningful to me, and I can build something around, or yeah, music. The other, where I actually have designed quite a few, is just in my brain when it's raining and the wipers, you know how they do. Well, it's like my brain goes off on some little tangent, and I'm like, oh, that's what I could do. And not really per se thinking of something in particular, but you know, there's always a few things brewing in the back, and so you're trying to solve the problem that may be on this piece or this piece. And yeah, wipers, rain.
Well, one of the things I know about you is that you have to design in the season.
Yes. I'm not good out of the season.
So when you see like Christmas samplers that are designed by Jeanette, you've designed them pretty much in and around the Christmas season.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, and so Jeanette's going to correct me if I've got this wrong, but I'm like, in my head, Jeanette plans well in advance because she's stitching well in advance and designing well in advance. Am I correct?
You are correct.
And I've got some secret questions. Since you didn't read ahead, I've got some secret questions coming up that it's going to be great to see what those answers are. Do you have a favorite design?
Of mine?
Of yours, of anybody else's? Those could be 2 separate questions. We can do 2.
Oh, you know, I would say no, because on my own, I always fall in love with the next new one.
I was going to say, that's what I was expecting the answer to be. I can't choose between my children and the most recent one. And
It's just totally always the new one is the thing. It's fabulous. You know, so they were all fabulous at one time. But, you know, they get left in the dust.
Is there a design whose popularity has surprised you?
Always the popularity of my stitching treasures. I really wasn't a name brand then. This was 2004. I had released it, and I can't quite remember how. I think I just said I had it, and that was kind of it. I think I only told like Nordic Needle, and that's about it. But they didn't even have any patterns yet. And I went on holidays. Well, you know, finished my pattern, got it out on the waves, and that was the end. I was on holidays. Well, I came back to these crazy messages from shops all over the States, just panicking to get this pattern. And I had no idea. And I will never forget a shop in Fenton, Michigan, Stitches and Things. Deb, she said, this is the pattern of the decade. And I really think she was right with that, because it went on to just go gangbusters. And Old Colonial Designs, Bob and Pam. Bob always said, wow.
It's
I
really,
can't
it's
make
really,
enough boxes.
it's really lovely. I have this chart. I haven't stitched it yet. I actually got the chart and the thread pack, and the accessory pack was actually a gift from my parents.
Oh,
It was a
I
Christmas
love
present
that.
from my parents.
Oh, that's nice.
But it is shown here in a box. So let's just talk a little bit about
Yeah.
this, because I think they're not making the box anymore.
No.
So it doesn't mean you can't find a box that it may fit on.
No, because it's a burled wood frame that you can still get that framing. So, you know, anybody really who could do some good woodworking would probably be able to make it.
Yes. So if you get this thing and you look at the description of the box inside, that box is no longer available, but you would just have to figure out the size of your piece and find a box top that it would fit on.
Yeah.
But there's also accessories. My Stitching Treasure is accessories. So there's like an alphabet thing that runs around in the border, and a scissor fob, and this is where I'm going to fall apart
needle book,
going.
yeah, pinwheelie, and
Yeah, so you could,
yeah.
if you had it in a box and you lifted up the lids, you could make some really lovely things that
Yeah.
sat inside too.
Yeah,
I have
for
that
sure.
one too. I haven't stitched that one either, but that's not the point. Are any of your patterns out of print?
That's a good question. There are a few in the very early days that I just never did reprint on. But you know, there's probably one or two floating around somewhere. But there's quite a few in the beginning that it just didn't have the same numbers as the Canadian Journey series did, and my Stitching Treasures that I did not reprint. It just wasn't worth it. Now we print so much differently than we did 20 years ago. Then you printed 1,000, 2,000 at a time, and now you can print much more on demand. So one could say that you could really print anything, and it's something that I'm working toward as my greater retirement plan, is to have everything on PDF. So, you know, some of them that just did not sell well, it's just that way.
Yeah.
You have ones that sell great and you have ones that don't. And those I would never make the effort.
That's not, some sell better than others.
Yes, that's a nice way to put it. Yes.
Period. Because they're all
Yeah.
lovely. It's just some sell better than others.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever reasons.
Yeah.
But you do have some exclusive charts, right, that aren't necessarily available to everybody. And so some of them I'm going, like, I'm thinking of, I know that you use some for teaching pieces, right? And well, this is in my head. I'm going to tell my version, and Jeanette's going to tell me how good I've got it, right? Because you use them for X amount of teaching something. But for those ones, like, they eventually do end up becoming available to the public after a period of time.
Yeah. Lots of pieces do. There's a few that I haven't. I'm not really sure why. They may still appear at some point. Some of them are easy to put in a class and you put it together and the kit is great. But then to bring that to the general public, the kit may just have so many parts that you just go, this just isn't going to work. And so it does languish. You know, one would have to actually do a lot of work to make that work. So I haven't.
So what's up with you and the specialty stitches? Asking for a friend.
Well, I do have a little love affair with counted thread. I do. I just love the look of mixing cross stitch and specialty stitch. I love cross stitch. I love it. But I love specialty stitches.
Well, and you do have some charts that are primarily cross stitched, like the blooming bouquet series is primarily cross stitched. There's satin stitch, but just for a little bit of the border. But other than that, it's entirely cross stitched. So you can get Jeanette's patterns where it's pretty much just cross stitch. And then you've got the other ones. A lot of the other ones have specialty stitches.
Yeah.
Should people be worried about specialty stitches?
What can I tell you? They're not. It's the same as cross stitch. You come up in hole number 1 and you go down in hole number 2. Your hole number 2 is maybe not hole number 2 as in a cross stitch, but it's the same idea. You're counting threads. The pictures are there for you. You're given the main graph that shows you.
And the diagrams are awesome.
Yeah,
I always
thank
say.
you.
The diagrams are awesome.
You know, you've got your main graph just like cross stitch. And then if you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that part, that's okay. Because then in the document, you've got blown up bigger pictures of how to create that on your main graph.
Yeah.
And that main graph is used for placement. The stitch diagrams give you the exact way, come up at 1, go down at 2, come up at 3, go down at 4. And I think that's been the beauty for me. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the new threads, you know, that we now have available to us beyond DMC. And it makes it fun. And because I've stitched really, and I'm in my 60s now, so I've stitched right since I'm a teenager, I just needed something more. I just felt I love cross stitch, and I still do cross stitch pieces, but I love the other. It's a challenge, and I learn something new every time, and I really love that.
Because the way I describe it to people is like, if you can do one of those kids connect the dot to make a picture, you can do specialty stitches.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's
because she numbers the things and she's not kidding. You look at the diagram, you go up at 1, arrow, down at 2, up at 3, down at 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my answer is, if I can follow the diagram, you can follow the diagram too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing is, right, in cross stitch, we tend to look at our pattern, kind of look ahead, however many stitches you can keep in your head, and you just stitch them, and then you look up again. So what happens with specialty stitch, especially in the beginning, is you have to start and you're like, oh, I'm here. So you don't get that flow right away. Absolutely, I agree. But you can find number sequences that help. So like in a Scotch stitch, you can look, there's 8 ascending, right, over 1, over 2, over 3, over 4, over 5, and then you decrease again. So in my head, I count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I know, and I've got my Scotch stitch complete. So really,
and just in case anybody's wondering, because last week I showed a diagram of how to do a Scotch stitch, and I only went to 4. But the answer is, it depends on how big you're making your Scotch stitch.
Absolutely.
It could go up to 4. It could go up to 5, 6, 7, 8. It could go up to like 27 if you wanted. It's just how big you want that square ending up looking.
Yeah.
So in case anybody comes back and says, Judy, your explanation of how to do a Scotch stitch was wrong because Jeanette says it's 5 and you only showed 4.
I should have used 4.
You can make them different. You can make them different sizes, but that the concept is the same. It's just how big that
and
that square
many
is.
of the many of the specialty stitches are like that. If you're doing a satin stitch, it will come down in a V to, let's say, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you know at 6 you have to decrease again, so it's just 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you don't need to look at the diagram all the time, because I get it. I'm a person who doesn't like to look at the diagram all the time, so I find the path that I can remember, and then you're not looking all the time. And that's the joy of stitching, right? Is to not always just be so focused on the graph. Yeah.
So do you ever have time to work on non-Jeanette Douglas design stitching?
Yes, I do. Now, it's interesting. I would not have said this prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, I just traveled so much that I was just zoom, zoom, zoom. There was no stitching for pleasure going on. It was, get the next one done, get out there, do your gig, come back, etc. But COVID has blessed me with stitching time, and wow, it's awesome.
So we actually have something that she's been stitching on recently. So I'm going to let her show hers. I brought mine too. So one of the things that you've been stitching on is Anne Morrison.
So I am on the eyelets, and not really my favorite, I find out.
So for those of you who sometimes sort of go get annoyed by the specialty stitches in Jeanette Douglas, just so you know, she's getting a little annoyed with the eyelets, which I think I think is hilarious. I think she deserves it. So just this is the chart for Anne Morrison. This was an exclusive to Traditional Stitches in celebration of their 20th anniversary. The chart is currently out of print, so your only way to get Anne Morrison is through a D-stash group, or if you have a friend who's willing to loan it to you, sell it to you, something like that. And just for fun, I brought mine too. Now, she was really smart. She ironed hers. I, of course, didn't iron mine. So if you want to hold yours up, what fabric? I know she's looking at mine going, that doesn't look the same. I'm like, but that's typical of me. So here's the differences. So what fabric are you using for yours?
46 count.
I'm using a 32 count linen. So I'm just going to hold this up and go. So this is going to give you the difference in like what the size difference is, right? So she's doing it on an insanely small, like, whatever. Anyway, and I'm doing it on something I can see. And then, of course, as I've said on mine, because I'm never good about sticking with the colors, so I've actually changed some of the colors in mine. I'm doing it on a different fabric. I'm doing it on a light blue fabric. Yeah, and I've changed some of the, and I've changed the colors. So the greens.
And what threads are you using?
So I'm using Soie d'Alger.
Oh, okay.
You're
nice.
probably using 103.
I'm using 103.
She's using the called for.
I follow the pattern.
I follow the pattern too.
In her own way.
Changing the colors is still following the pattern. Right? They're all the same design, they're all the same X's. Anyway, whatever. I just changed the colors. Alrighty.
Do you want to see my piece that I'm doing on 5260?
Yes. Let's look at that one. 5260, which is a fabric I will never stitch on.
It's coming along really nice. It's a hats, Mary Clayton, I think, and it's just coming up beautifully with Tudor silk. I'm just going to cover the camera because you've got to see this. It's really, really pretty. I'm quite enjoying it. but definitely need good light. And I stitch it without my glasses. So that'll be this, and then I'm,
The real life of the stitcher. Yeah. So that was one of the great things about 2020/2021. Don't get me wrong, we all know that there's some negative things going on about that. This is the part that I forgot at the beginning. I just want to say, yes, we're sitting here. We're not sitting 6 feet apart. Neither one of us are masked. I just want to say we are both double dose vaccinated.
And mine was weeks ago, so
yeah, so we're acting in accordance with the requirements with where we currently are. So we're not breaching anything. In case anybody was worried, we're a double dose. We're double dosed duo.
Yes.
Woo, look at that one. But technically, despite all of the exciting things about being able to stitch more, those are not some of the most exciting things that have recently happened in your life. Am I correct?
Well,
would you like to tell us about a couple of the more exciting things that have happened recently?
Like as in my grandchildren?
Yeah. So she has a new grandchild in 2021.
Yes, little baby Sterling, and Callum's now a big brother, the little curly redhead, and they're sure fun.
Yeah, check out her Instagram if you want to see a picture of them. Callum with a really curly redhead. Yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen to him in school. Curly redhead, and he's got a temper to go with it.
So a fiery redhead.
Yep.
And then, as we mentioned before, you have a new addition to your Here in This House family.
Yes, the little Flossie. I thought, with a name like Flossie, it'd be great, right? It's my little stitching buddy. Oh, but all she does is torture me. She loves floss. She takes that and makes it a big knot. Oh, it's been a challenge keeping ahead of her, and it's like she knows. And then she just snarfs into.
Of course they know.
Yeah,
we all know they know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's. So we're going to talk a little bit about my stitching. So for those of you who've been watching me, you know what I'm working on, because for me it's Jeanette Douglas June, and I've been working on the Canadian Patriotic Sampler. And here's mine.
Beautiful.
And over my shoulder here, whoops, can't do. There we go. So there's.
Take it down.
Yes, please. There's the framed one from the lovely Jeanette. So true to form, I'm absolutely, definitively following the chart. Okay, other than I changed the fabric. So this is on 36 count platinum linen. Mine is on a 32 count Pearl Grey Lugana.
And it looks great.
Yeah. And again, so just to give you the size difference, right? So the difference between 36 and 32. So it's not making it that much bigger. No. It's not quite as big as the difference between a 32 and a 46.
Yeah.
And because I was doing it on gray, I have changed it. So this wording is done in Gloriana Arroyo, and mine is being done in a Caron Waterlilies Graphite.
Oh, you picked graphite?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because it's more gray. It's more gray.
It looks good.
All right, Jeanette, we're going to let you put that down because now, so as you can notice, and I've talked about this on mine because I sometimes do test stitching. So here's this lovely, I'm working on the Canadian flag over here. And so what I've done is I started this part and then I stopped and then I did a different version. So this is where I'm using the over dyed thread and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it's giving a little bit of a striped effect. And on this one, I'm going fully up and down the entire length. Jeanette, I'm following the chart.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't give me explicit instructions.
On how.
And so when I got here, I was looking at it going like, and then I looked at hers and I went, I have no idea how she did hers because hers looks different again.
It was done at an angle. So like a basket weave.
Okay, so let's talk about, so you started, so let's say, so you started here in 1/4 and just went on diagonals as you were coming through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I will let you know that I have not tied in my threads on the back. because I was like, I'm coming to the expert and she's going to tell me what to do. And so don't be worried because I'm probably going to rip this out and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to restitch it on an angle because Jeanette said so.
So yes, just do it like a basket weave. Start in either, so if you're stitching on this side here, just start in the top corner and then go one over, down, and then you're just going to go like this. And what happens is that the color blocks better, but not in stripes or patches. I'm not sure if that's the right word. What it tends to do is then make the movement flow like this. And that's so nice for a flag because that's how a flag, and that's why I did it in the basket weave. So you're gonna start here and you're just going to go like this. And then there's your maple leaf in the center, and on this side, same thing. Just make sure you repeat on either side the same way that of doing the basket weave, right? You're not going to do it on the opposite corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Well, because then what it does is it makes you look at, as you go across the flag,
Yeah.
it looks consistent as opposed to doing it in two
exactly.
different ways.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to try to have more of the flag done before I came, but then I went, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, and I'm going to see a professional. So I'm going to ask the professional. She's going to tell me what to do. So now I get to go home and I'll fix it. Tune in next week to see how far I've done. Do we have the American Patriotic stamp?
I don't have the model.
Okay, so just in case anybody's wondering, full caveat here. I'm sorry, Jeanette has not done a patriotic sampler for all of the countries of the world. Sorry, she hasn't done that yet.
I'm a North American gal.
Well, she started with the U.S., which, you know, we kind of held against her for a little bit. She's now rectified that because she's come out with a Canadian one, as all good Canadian designers should be. Anywho, she's got one for me now. Don't get me wrong, I actually really like the American one too. I have to adjust it a little bit. And when I start that one, then
we'll see how that goes.
We might have Jeanette back when I work on my American one, and she sees what I've done to it, and she might look at me a little bit weird. But do you mind when people change your designs?
Mostly, I don't. It's yours. Sometimes what's done is maybe not appealing to me, but I'm never upset by it because I just feel it's your piece. Please enjoy it. I thank you for purchasing it, and I thank you for supporting JDD. And if that's what you love,
and really
please
have
make yourself
a really
happy.
good stitching experience while you're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Upside, when she saw mine, she didn't go. Okay, can you go get Blooming Bouquet number 6? So I taunted everybody with this one because I said I couldn't wait for the Needlework Expo in March because I'd seen the model for
She likes
this.
purple.
I love this one. I love this
That
one.
show the color good.
Yes.
I think it does. Yeah.
And as good as your photography job is, and you do actually one of the better jobs on how your photography is in your charts,
Thank you.
they're still always better looking in person.
Oh, and this time actually I was very disappointed with, we had changed printers yet again, and they are not doing as nice a cover. So we'll have to teach them what we want.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the pattern Pretties. So these are little things that you, now again, how you finish them is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
You generally show them always as pillows.
Mm-hmm.
Here's her pattern Pretties. She's got them displayed in this glorious, I don't even know what you call one of these things, but just so you know, I went out and bought one.
That's awesome.
I was over here and I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. And then I went out. I haven't stitched enough to fill it up. That's not the point. But she does them in all these different colors with all these different patterns.
Yeah,
I'm just going to turn it small around slowly. And each of the patterns comes with the specialty floss. Oh, good grief. Here she comes with another one. With the specialty floss to do it. So really you just need fabric to stitch it on, and then however you're going to finish it.
Yeah, just a piece of fabric. Your kit comes with all the floss.
They're small. Fun. They're glorious. They're absolutely glorious. And isn't this a fantastic way to display them? Like I say, I saw it and then I went out and I bought one. I haven't stitched enough to fill it, but I have all the things. All right, Jeanette. What else have you got?
Well, she brought out that thing, and then I remembered I had this great mason jar with all the Canadian snippets in it. So just lots of fun with putting them in a jar. Right on the bottom too. But it was a perfect jar for them.
That's a really lovely series too. I have those too. All right, and in case anybody was wondering, I have actually stitched Jeanette Douglas, and I've actually fully finished. And anybody who's watched me before, like, I'm not good at the fully finished. Usually the fully finished is because I'm gifting it. So I made these and I gifted these to my mother because she's a big quilter. So she does stitch, but she's a big quilter. But here's Jeanette Douglas's Take Time to Quilt.
Spring.
Yeah, so this is the spring one. Oh, good. Look at how good I'm doing about not getting glare.
That's awesome.
But I do want to talk about on your website. So when you buy the charts for these, let me pull one of these out. Whoops. Yeah. So there's kind of what, not this particular one, but that's one of the charts. So when you get the charts, I think they all say take time to quilt on them for all of the seasons, right?
Yes.
But on your, or at least on your website when I was doing it.
I think it's still there. The PDF should be still there.
I actually, she gave you other sayings. So this is the one I actually quilt. Yeah. So that's Take Time to Quilt Summer. And I'm not good because I can't read it backwards. So this one, I've changed the wording to say the joy of quilting.
So it gave you a few options.
It gave you options so that you didn't do Take Time to Quilt on all four. And because I know my mother and she's got a quilting room and I knew she was going to hang them in, I wanted them all to say something different. I should look at these before I pick them up. Anytime is quilting time. This is the fall one. I've said this to Jeanette before and I'm going to say it again. Holy smokes, man, those Queen Anne stitches just about did me in. There are 4 Queen Anne stitches together to make these diamonds over here. And
the Queen stitches, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Queen Anne. I've been very clear.
She might be Anne.
I'm not good. I'm not good with the names. I followed the diagram. There's 4 diamonds, and they're each part of it is done in a different color. 4 different colors in each one of those diamonds. I actually also used the thread packs for these. So I did them in the called for colors as well. I followed the diagram. I used the thread pack. I did change the linen to a different color.
Nice.
And because I can't remember this one's now upside down. Quilting warms the soul. So that's the one that I put on the winter one.
Yeah, it was nice it's nice to see that you use the words.
Yes.
I just thought, oh my goodness, like if you're doing this, you kind of want it to say something else. So, yeah.
So yes, so that's an option there as well.
And
sure. Yes, if I'm good, check in the notes below, because if I can locate it again, I will put the link directly to where it is on Jeanette's website. If I'm smart and I can do things like that. Needlework Expo is coming.
Yeah.
Needlework Expo August. I'm going to make up the dates now. August 28th through 31.
August 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that.
Okay, so
28th.
August 28th is good anyway. So this is an online Needlework Expo for shops to go to. So we, as the regular population, are not allowed to technically attend. But shops are really great about posting things. Jeanette's gonna post pictures of her things in advance so we can get some sneak peeks. How many designs are you releasing for Expo?
One sampler, and then the last two in the Home Together series. So it'll be and one other small little piece that's super cute too. It's actually, I did it for Acorns and Threads, and as a special chart because I was teaching there last year, but of course I couldn't go. So then I did a little chart, but it was just so cute. I'll show it to you because it's kind of cute. It's a little chubby bird, and he's holding acorns. So it's in a little tart tin. But anyway, there'll be 4 patterns. Yeah.
And how did so you did some releases in May. I was gonna say there were 4 in May?
Yeah. Here is Stitch Tray.
And the drum. That's really lovely. And a scissor fob with scissors on it.
So that stitch tray, it was started by a teaching piece that we did, and I taught this in quite a few places, and that was flower tray, and that was the spring.
Yeah, that came out at the March one. I bought that one. It's lovely.
It
has a drum too.
And yeah, super fun with a little fob also.
On that one.
Yeah.
With flowers.
Yeah.
Do you do your own finishing?
No. I do on a pin cushion and whatever, but yeah. No, not so much.
So secretly in my head, I was like, okay, when I stitch this and I'm ready, I can come over to Jeanette for some help. Apparently she's going to give
Apparently not.
Apparently she's going to give me the name. She's going to give me a name.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the hot ticket item that I am awaiting buttons to finish kits. I have stacks of orders is the little spool kit. So this has been a little bit of a hit here, and we're just waiting for some buttons to finish all our kits so we can send. And the wood guy has made us a ton of spools, so yeah, it's been fun.
Which brings us to, COVID gave you some really great opportunities to stay home and stitch.
Yeah.
It did present some wrinkles.
Mm-hmm.
So what were some of the COVID supply chain wrinkles you experienced, and how are things now?
Overall, shipping took double the time to get anything. As you know, I make all the thread packs for many of my charts, and most of the thread comes from the States, so I was definitely waiting a lot longer. But part of that was they were having their own issues, whether it was staffing or someone was sick, or just being able to have one person work versus 5 in the same area, because we all had
The
to
social distancing.
there was just so many things. But in particular, the Letters from Mum series, as you know, has the one cottage garden thread with your chart. So the chart isn't going to sell if I don't have the thread to put with it. And the problem was Australia was totally locked down. So I get these messages from Australia Post saying, yeah, it's sitting here in Melbourne. Well, yeah, I'd like it. And it must have been about the 3-month mark. And Cottage Garden said, well, do you want me to send it again? And I said, well, then is it going to sit in Melbourne again? Anyway, then I finally got a message from Australia Post that said, we have put your package on a slow boat. And I went, a slow boat? Like, I thought that went away, Dutch East India times. I was really surprised, and then it did take another, I think the package, it was maybe 5 or 6 months altogether. So it did come on the slow boat. But I laughed when I read it. I thought, yeah, you bet it's a slow boat, because wow. But that's one of my.
But it's a lovely series. Don't let it hold you back.
And
It's
it's
worth the
been
wait.
fine since. But they've had bigger lockdown issues than we have, and so definitely I found they were the hardest hit with trying to get their thread out.
Are things fully back?
No.
No. I want to admit, it's like she's feeling much better now. It's not on the slow boat quite so much,
No.
but we are not back to where we were before. Not in terms of fabric availability,
No.
thread availability.
And some of the
you would-
threads are just doing their absolute best, and they send what they can, and we're a small industry and we all want to help each other. And I mean, I know all the suppliers, they know I make thread packs. They've been awesome. People really have been super awesome. You just have to wait a little bit and you'll get it.
Yes. I always like to say, even though we say we have stitching emergencies, they're not life and death stitching emergencies. So
No.
let's just.
But you do get excited about a piece,
We
and
do
then
get
I'm like,
excited, and that's
I need it now. I get it.
okay. But then you can be like me and go like, I have a box of Jeanette Douglases that are ready for me to stitch, but that's not the point. So you had something else you had to show. You were reaching for something.
Oh, yes. Would you like a little sneak peek of the sampler that I'll release the end of August?
Okay, I'm just gonna
It's my favorite, right? It's the new.
It's really
my
it's
favorite.
really lovely, and I'm gonna have to tell you, you're gonna get a sneak peek. I got to see the. Oh, are you gonna show them the whole thing?
Well, no.
Okay, I was gonna say it's like woo. She's.
I
feel
got
like
the
going,
whole
oh,
thing,
she's
but
got the
how
whole
do
thing.
I cover it? Just a minute.
Yes, you can just cover it.
No, wait, maybe just white
Sure.
papering.
Yeah.
If I do like that,
Ooh, that's a really
or
good.
like that.
You can show whatever
That.
you're happy with. It's a really good sneak peek.
How about that? There.
Oh my goodness, it's a fantastic sneak peek. It's lovely.
And it's called Joy Be Thine. So look for it to come.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it,
It's
I must
really
say. Right? It's the new.
It's really lovely. Okay, yeah, and if you watched me before, actually, I laughed when I was showing you charts. Like, this one is lovely, and this one is lovely, and this one is lovely.
See, and they were all the new one at one point.
Yeah, but I like the fact that I can haul them out even now. Okay, don't get me wrong. So I bought them and I haven't stitched a lot of them. Let's not kid ourselves. But I like the fact that they hold up really well over time, right? Because I
Thank
can
you.
haul them out now and go, I love them just as much now as when I got them. And
This
I'm gonna
this
pick on the
week I
quilting.
sent out, I don't know how many take time to people.
Like,
It's just
I think
quite something.
it's still lovely.
Yeah.
I think it's
Thank
still
you.
lovely. And the funny thing, so I was over at my parents for Father's Day to see my dad.
Oh, nice.
And thought I should see my dad first before I went. By the way, I'm also here to pick up the stitching.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not all about stitching, Dad, but
Anyway,
close.
so we got this. So we took it. He went out to talk to a neighbor. Fine. So that's when we did the stitching things. I thought it was really interesting because when he came back in and he sat down in the family room, my mom sort of went, I was going to be doing this. And he's like, well, I noticed the stitching wasn't on the wall anymore. I was like,
Aw, Dad.
good for you. And I will also say when I went to borrow them, my mother went, borrow.
Not keep.
They have to come back. I didn't say I was stealing them. I did say I wanted to borrow them just for a bit.
Nice.
I'm returning them this
Nice.
weekend.
Yeah.
So
that's
I also
good.
showed them the Patriotic sampler. The other funny thing that my dad said was he looked at it. Okay, so he His family is there. No stitchers on his side of the family. My mom's side, there are stitchers. He's been married to my mom for 56 years, so he's had 56 years of exposure to people who stitch. And we showed him the Canadian Patriotic sampler, and he looked at it and he went, "So 6 colors of red?" And I went, "Oh, good guess." I think it's only 5, but he's learned because he started off. He'd look at things and he's like,
That's
"So
so
there's
fun.
I know there's like 12 colors in that." We're like 12. There's like 37. So I think he's just got to the point where he's like he gets the number in his head, and then I think he multiplies it by a factor.
That's so awesome.
I thought it was great. It's
Yeah.
like, so 6 colors of red. It was great.
Oh,
I
love it.
I
That's
thought he
cute.
did a great job.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. All right. Towards the end of this year, hopefully you're doing something exciting. Miss Double Dosed, fully vaccinated. Things are
Yes.
opening up again. What's technically on the schedule? What's the big exciting thing on the schedule?
Technically on the schedule is the Christmas Markets Cruise.
I'm not
yeah,
going on it, but
pretty-
that's not the point.
You went on the last one.
I went on the last one, but we'll talk about that. So you've got a cruise coming up.
Yeah.
It's in... do you know
Yeah,
the dates
end
that?
of December or end of November. You know,
We'll-
it's
we'll put the
terrible. I
dates.
don't know the date because I knew it last year, but it is different this year.
We'll put the
So,
dates.
Yeah.
We aren't sure if it's fully sold out because we don't know what everybody's decisions are going to be and their willingness to travel over to Europe. So it's a Christmas market cruise over in Europe from, this is where I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to say Regensburg to Budapest, but
Yeah,
that
we
close?
start in Prague. Actually.
there we go. Prague, that's the
Yeah,
right answer.
And then have a few days in Prague, and then the bus takes you through the Black Forest to the Danube in Regensburg. So Regensburg is
Yeah, so it's a week-long cruise down the Danube.
yeah.
And
Little
every stop is a Christmas market.
yeah, so
It's
fun.
really lovely. And yes, I was on the first one that they did.
It
It was
was
really
so
it was really
magical.
lovely. It's
I
really
just
lovely.
Loved it. Yeah.
If you want to see if there's availability, you contact Judy Bradford, and same thing, we will put her contact information in the show notes below. So her email, her phone number, reach out to her directly. And if nothing else, you could reach out to her and say, "Can you put me on the list for when Jeanette's having a cruise?"
Yeah.
Because your cruises tend to sell out. Like the whole boat for the Christmas market cruise is going to be people who signed up for the Jeanette Douglas cruise. I was on the first one, and there were unfortunately eight people
Who are not part of
who were not part of our group, because it started off we didn't think it was going to be the whole boat, and then so they let a few people on and then it turned out it was
we could sell the whole boat.
we could sell the whole boat. And since then it's been whole boat ever since so hey, we were really nice to those people. I know I and Freda made sure that we sat and we had dinner with some of the non-stitching people so that they didn't feel excluded. But so what can you expect when you go on a Jeanette Douglas cruise? So first of all, the most important thing is
You get a sampler.
you get a Jeanette Douglas SOA. It's exclusive.
You get a souvenir, and it's probably really the best souvenir you'll get because you can hang it on your wall like I have here, and I can get it.
So this is the one from if you get the one from my cruise. I know. Do you like the fact how I'm going, my cruise? Jeanette Douglas, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, my cruise.
So this was the Down the Danube piece. And when you look at it, it's awesome because you do just remember all the fun times in each of the cities, and Little Austria, and which is the top with the mountains, and each city square had a beautiful tree in it. This is the center of Prague. These are buildings in Budapest. So little market stalls, little wreaths, and look at the cute little charm. It's a clock, and they had tons of those clocks everywhere. It was cool.
Glockenspiels.
Yeah.
It's
So-
lovely. But you've designed a new one
Yes.
for this year. So you won't be getting that one. Jeanette has designed another one special for anybody on the cruise, and they're
Yeah.
lovely. They're always lovely.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't buy many souvenirs anymore. I just love that I have my little stitch piece of what we saw and did. It's pretty cool.
They're lovely. They're lovely. Ugh. Now, again, so I've written down some things because this is what happened on my cruise. So I'm waiting for Jeanette to tell me if that's what's happening on this cruise, but I'm expecting. So on ship stitching shopping,
Yes,
courtesy of.
the silver needle.
So the silver needle is coming, and they're bringing wares with them. They're carting them
So you
all the
can
way
shop.
over to you, so you can shop on the boat for stitching things.
Yeah.
And I shopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mona does a little finishing class because when we're waiting to go to the cruise, I always design quite a few little Christmas pieces along the way. So there'll be little ornaments or little things that I've designed for each cruise to kind of, because you're usually waiting a year and a half to go. Of course, this time it's been longer than that. And so then you can stitch those prior to coming and then take a little class with Mona's finishing, and she'll walk you through the finishing, which is really nice too.
There are also regular cruise things. So it's not like you're not spending 100% of your time just doing stitching thingies. We get off the boat every day. We go to a market every day, at least one, sometimes more than
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And you get to take tours, and we did a musical thing one night. So there's always things to do, and it's like every other cruise. If you want to get off the boat that day, you get off the boat. If you don't want to get off the boat that day, you don't have to get off the boat.
Yeah,
Right.
and we have just really great leader in that, which is Dayon. I mean, you couldn't really ask. We've kept the same cruise
same
director.
guy.
We just say, you're coming, and he comes with us. So Judy makes that happen and books Dayon, books the ship.
Judy Bradford,
Yeah,
not Judy.
right. Yeah.
And the cruises usually happen every other year,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
So the one 2 years from now, do you know where that one is yet?
Well, we're hoping to do Basel, Switzerland to Amsterdam
Ooh, that'll be a
in
good one.
June.
Ooh, in June.
Yeah.
So I will say, for those of you who come from warmer climates, the Christmas market cruise, don't forget to bring some warm clothes because it will be chilly.
Yes.
It will be chilly.
But we were
Lovely.
never cold.
Lovely. It was lovely. It was, yeah.
You're just, they've got you just well taken care of is really all I can say. It's, yeah. I don't think I even wore my boots because I didn't need it. Or, just
Okay.
low boots. Like, you don't need the boots to the knee. There's no snow. We never saw any snow, did we?
No.
No. So, yeah.
Okay, I had to wear multiple layers, but I'm cold almost 100% of the time. So anyway,
I
that's,
did not.
that's anyway, whatever. Not atypical. I'm cold here, so never mind that. That's a different problem. So the other thing that's starting to happen is that you are going to resume doing gigs.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what's
It's hard to go from 0 to.
Are you going to remember how to do the gigs?
I know, right? I know.
She'll remember, don't worry.
No, it'll be good. Yeah, lots because 2020 was canceled. 2021, most of it has been canceled. So everything that was booked in those 2 years is now in 2022. So it will ramp up from 0 to, Speedy Gonzalez.
So again, there's a listing of events on Jeanette's page. And again, if you look in the notes below, there will be a direct link to that page so you can see what's on there. Step number 1, do not contact Jeanette to see if there's availability or what's happening with those, because Jeanette's not going to know the answer. She just shows up and does her thing. But on each of those things, it tells you who to contact for what's going on. And so we can't necessarily speak to what the current availability is or how many booked up and whatever, but at least the contact information will be there.
Yeah.
So you can see where Jeanette's going to be in case you want to come and you want to do a class with Jeanette and see her in person, because she's lovely. All right. You can also, so Jeanette has a website, which is, again, the link directly to her website. You can see all of her designs. They're all on there, and you can search for things and do all kinds of things. On Jeanette's website, there are also some free designs, which you can download and get for free. They're lovely too. That tulip mini bouquet is just lovely. I was looking at that one again. You have a Facebook page, I think.
Yeah.
So we will put the link to the Facebook page below. She is also on Instagram.
Yeah.
So you can see, so that's if you,
yeah.
so if you want to see Flossie, and if you want to
Yeah.
see the grandkids, and if you want to see stuff like sneak peeks, this is where you go for the sneak peeks.
Yeah.
So between Facebook and Instagram, that's where the sneak peeks are. And as we're coming up to Needlework Expo in August, if you're wanting to see more.
By the end of July, we'll start posting for sure. Yeah.
They're lovely. And then you will be participating in Nashville Needlework.
I will. I'm already planning on that. I think I have things sorted, so I'm kind of happy about that. They're at my stitcher being stitched. So, yes, I do work. I am a person who works quite far ahead. I've come to realize that. That way I can enjoy things around me if I work ahead. I'm not good on the moment, spur of the moment.
So that means I'm probably gonna have to come back around Christmas time and go, "Are you working right now?" But you'll be on the cruise. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the cruise was fantastic. Cruising with Jeanette is always a good thing. I haven't gone as many as some of my friends have gone. They've done a lot more with Jeanette, but they're always lovely. And the Jeanette Douglas special design is like worth the trip. Not to mention, okay, the Christmas markets were great too, but anyway.
It was just
It was
a
lovely.
magical trip. There's just no words.
Yeah,
And
it was lovely.
and when we did France, it was the same. It's like, how can I do this magic again? And it was, we just all felt it. It was magical. I think, when you travel, it's always, everything is new, which is wonderful. But what was cool was at the end of the day, we'd all be back on the ship. And then it was just, you could already share with so-and-so who had been on a different trip that day than you. And just, I don't know, because you're all one big family, we just really,
And quite frankly, you're traveling with a bunch of stitchers.
yeah.
You're traveling with
It's
your
just
community.
fun.
They're awesome. You get there and okay, husbands come too.
Yeah.
So
My husband comes.
he doesn't come to all of them, but he comes on some of them.
Yeah.
And some of the stitchers' husbands come along as well.
Yeah.
And because I certainly remember some of the husbands that were
Yeah.
hanging
Oh, yeah,
around
we
and they
remember.
yeah. So
Lots
it's
of fun.
you are welcome to bring your non-stitcher companions,
Sister,
friends,
your mom.
sister, brother, mother, child, grandchild, whatever, just for the experience. It'll be awesome for them as well. And you could be like me, like, yeah, they had the finishing class, but my work was crazy. And so I looked at all those lovely things and went, okay, so I'm going to save the chart. I went to the finishing class and watched, but I didn't have anything to finish.
Yeah. No, I get that. Absolutely.
And that was okay too, right? So don't worry. If she sends out the things and she goes, these are for the finishing class, and you're just going, life is crazy, I can't do it. My answer is like, life is crazy, you can't do it. And so you show up and you go, yeah, I didn't bring it. And they go, sorry. And then I apply, the back. So what? All right. Okay. It'll all be fine and lovely and glorious. And with that, thanks, Jeanette. This has been awesome.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for listening to us natter on, and It was wonderful to be able to share
we might do this
some of
again.
them. Yeah, sure. We can
Okay.
do that.
With that, stay safe, stay healthy, find some time to stitch, and now we're going to turn you back to regularly scheduled programming. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
And with that, my many, many, many thanks to Jeanette for her willingness to sit down with me and do that interview. And wasn't that sneak peek awesome? It's really a fabulous piece. So just a reminder, the sampler that she is releasing for the August Needlework Expo is entitled Joy Be Thine. Yeah, that might be coming home. Anyway, yeah, so it was really good. Sitting down with Jeanette is always a good time, and all I can do is strongly encourage you, if you ever have the opportunity to go on a cruise with her or go to one of her classes, sign up for that, because you'll learn a lot, you'll do something fun, you'll have a great time, and she's just really lovely. So yeah, if you can find if you can get onto something with Jeanette, I strongly, strongly encourage you to do that, because she's just fantastic. So with that, what I thought I would do, so I'm clearly recording at a separate time. So we did that earlier this week, as you could tell from what I had accomplished. Just, you know, where I am, we are heading towards a week-long, likely record-setting heat wave. So I'm recording this a little bit earlier than I normally would, because I need to do it in this fabulous room with all the glorious light before all of the heat sets in. And what does a heat wave for us mean? It means like in the 90s and potentially up to 100, which I know for some of you, you get a little bit of a chuckle because those are standard temperatures for you. They're not standard temperatures for where I am. And so in fact, trivia, in my house and many houses where I live, they don't have air conditioning because we just don't get those kind of temperatures. So fortunately, I know how to work my house, so I'm usually fine. And the other thing is, if it gets too hot for me upstairs, I also live in an area where there's a basement, and it's always cooler in the basement. So I could end up huddling down in the basement if I need to cool off. So with that, let's just do a little bit of a catch up on what I actually got accomplished after I chatted with Jeanette. So again, the lovely Canadian Patriotic sampler. Lovely. Not set up properly. Here we go. So I dutifully came home and ripped out those 2 bands of red so that I could stitch them the way Jeanette told me to. And I have to say, it turned out fantastic. I started and I wasn't 100% sure, and I just went, keep going, because Jeanette said that this is what you were supposed to do. And it worked out lovely. And in fact, when I started here for the maple leaf, it's a little bit hard to get the diagonals going up here, just because, you know, welcome to the maple leaf and many points. It's a little hard to get that going, but certainly when you get down into here, I use the diagonal there as well. So that was actually the best thing, you know, for me for that conversation, because we've talked about it with variegated floss and how people are approaching it. And, you know, usually the ones that I think of most are the ones where you sort of do the outside and you sort of concentrically work your way in. I think I am firmly on the see if you can't do everything on the diagonal when using variegated floss. So the next time I come up with a variegated floss where it isn't, you know, where I'm having to fill in a solid block of anything, I will be stitching that on the diagonal, because I really do go, the shading just works out better. She's absolutely right, and how it blocks it doesn't look quite as chunky as either going vertically or horizontally. So yeah, so I successfully ripped it out, I restitched it, got the white stitched. So the interesting thing when I came to do the white is, as I said before, I am using 1 strand of the silks for the cross stitches up here and down here. I ended up, because this is a Caron Waterlilies, these are generally being done with Gloriana Silks or Thread Gatherer Silks. This, because I changed it, is a Caron Waterlilies, and for that one I absolutely ended, again, I did the test stitching. 2 strands was not enough on 32 count, so that I used 2 strands of the Waterlilies. I'm using 2 strands for the specialty stitches here in the center of the diamonds as well as over here, and I will likely be using, like, there's a whole bunch of maple leaves coming down here at the bottom, and I'm expecting that I'm going to end up using 2 strands for that as well. When I came here, so I did the red with 1 strand, and then I came to do the white and went, ooh, I don't know how this is going to work out. White, because white, the coverage on white sometimes gets a little bit interesting. And I was like, you're doing it on 32 count. I don't know if 1's going to be enough. And I went, well, start off with 1. And if it turns out that 1 is not enough, you can always go back and unstitch it and then restitch it with 2. And I actually think it looks fine. So one of the things that I was concerned about was that if I suddenly ended up needing to use 2 strands to do the white, it would look very different if I was using 1 strand everywhere else. So I had a little moment where I was like, oh, this could get interesting and I may have to make some decisions. I might have to call Jeanette back and get some guidance. But I didn't. I think it's all good. I'm continuing on with 1 strand of silk over 2. And again, you know, I think if you hold it up really close, can you see my fabric through the white? Yes. But as you stand back and, you know, as I'm showing it here, I'm okay with my coverage. I think it looks fine. I think you can tell that this is white against my Pearl Grey Lugana. So I'm fine with it. Okay, here it comes again. I think it looks lovely. I love it. Anyway, so very happy with that. Got that stitched. You know, as usual, I always hope to get more stitching, you know, done than I ever get done. But the editing is taking a little bit longer because, you know, now I really did have to go into video editing this time. I usually don't do editing, but this time I had to do the editing. So my next step is to do this glorious 1/1 British flag. And then we get into some more interesting parts, and we'll see what I end up doing next. But yeah, so very, very happy with how that worked out. Again, very happy that I ended up doing the diagonal for, you know, a good chunk of that maple leaf. Same thing. I think yeah, I'm very happy with how this is turning out. Very happy with how it's turning out. So I did want to talk a little bit about Jeanette's thread packs, because we were having a little bit of a discussion after we finished. You know, again, she was asking me questions about how many strands I was using, you know, because she knows that she stitches her models on 40 and 36, and then I usually take it down to 32 because that's what I like better. And, you know, so I was telling her that I had to, for me, for the coverage that I wanted on the Lugana, I needed to use 2 strands for those specialty stitches. And it was interesting because she said if you were doing it on 32 count linen, I might not have needed to have used 2 strands, which is entirely possible, but I didn't do that. The thing about the thread packs is that if you are using a fabric that will result in a larger piece, you may not have enough in 1 thread pack. So the thread packs are designed that you will absolutely have more than enough if you're doing it on the called for fabric. And again, when she was looking at my piece, she was like, if I had come down to a 32 and I used 1 strand for all of it, I would probably have enough thread in the thread pack to get that accomplished. But now that I'm using 2 for some of the specialty stitches, she was like, yeah, you would be running out if you were using the thread pack for that. You wouldn't have enough to use 2 strands for. And again, a lot of it has to do with the fact, like, particularly when I come down here, if all of this has to be done with 2 strands, yeah, you would run out if you were using the thread pack. And again, for that one, so just so for where I am, if you're concerned about it, again, like, she's got DMC conversions for everything. So if you've bought a thread pack and you're actually down, if you're planning on stitching this on a 28 count and you've already bought the thread pack, my advice to you would be, like, for things like these leaves here in the center of the diamonds, use the DMC equivalent. For these ones, like where the poinsettia is used, like for here, again, just because if you are looking for the variegation, that's when I would say maybe get one, maybe buy a full skein of the poinsettia. You're not going to use a huge amount because this is not a gigantic sampler, and maybe start with the silk that you've got in your pack and see where you're at, and you may or may not. But you can always replace things with DMC. It's just how much variegation, how much of the variegation is important to you. And you can assess that as you're going along. So yeah, it was, okay, so so here, for example, we're back to showing, so this is the Take Time to Quilt Spring, which I showed. Okay, I really did try to find my leftover. So I did use the thread packs for all of these. All of the models for these were stitched on, certainly for the quilting ones. I didn't check all the Take Time to series, but certainly for the quilting ones, they were all done on a 32 count linen. I did mine on a 32 count linen as well, just a different color. And I had more than enough. There was lots in the thread pack. And I was really hoping to find my leftovers, but they weren't where I thought they were going to be. So I still have them. Those are silks. You don't get rid of silks because you just never know. So I have all the leftovers from the thread packs for these. And hopefully by next week I will find one of them so I can show you how much I had left over. So I think she's quite generous in her thread packs. I certainly had lots left over for all of these. And again, surprise, surprise, I used all of the called for colors exactly as she had them charted. Exactly as she had them charted. I used all of those colors. I just changed the fabric. Anyway, so they're lovely. My mother, so it was very clear, my mother loves them. I was only allowed to borrow them. The only way I'm getting those is out of her cold dead hands, but never mind that. They were a gift to her, and I'm glad she's thoroughly enjoying them. As I said, I thought it was really interesting to notice that my dad noted that they were not on the walls. So I thought that was interesting too. Anyway, so 32 count. Hopefully next week I will have located the thread packs, and I'll see you how much I will be able to show you how much I had left over. But again, so when you're looking at these, just be really careful. You know, note what the model is stitched on. She absolutely has done some of these on 32 count. So for me, you know, that's loads. If you're taking it all the way down to 28, that's where you're gonna have to be really, really careful. Because on 28 count, even with the silks, for sure, you're going to end up wanting to use 2 strands, and that's where it's going to get a little bit interesting. The instructions for these Take Time to Quilts, even on 32 count, was to stitch with the silks 1 strand over 2 threads. And again, for all of the Take Time to Quilt series, I was fine with that. You know, even here on the Canadian Patriotic sampler, I am doing 1 strand over 2 for all of the crosses here, and I'm happy with how this is looking. Now, if you were to end up changing this and you were going to use 2, would this end up looking a little bolder? Yes. A little bit. Not hugely different, but a little bit. So again, it depends on what you like. But for me, I'm fine with my coverage using 1/2 on 32 count Lugana. But that's my taste, and it's your, as she said, it's your piece, and you get to do what you like. All right. So through all of that, I still found time to stitch on the Never Ending Nativity. Yeah, Never Ending. We're carrying on into July. I did make some progress. Not as much as I wanted. Okay. So what did I end up doing? So I ended up filling all of the blue up here in this area, and ended up filling all the blue in here. Now there's more of this blue over here, and that's my goal. Actually today there's actually quite a chunk of it. So my goal for today is actually to work on the Never Ending Nativity and get this color here fully complete over here. And then what that means is there's only 2 colors left to go in here. So this is the color that has the most. Then there's 2 other colors, so maybe that will spur me on. We'll see how it goes, because July is coming. July 1st is this week, which means sadly the Canadian Patriotic sampler is going to go away. Yes, I didn't get it finished in time for Canada Day. Anyway, that's true to form, but July 1st is coming, which means the Canadian Patriotic sampler will be going away until some point in 2022, and I will be starting a new project on July 1st, and I'm looking forward to that because again it is something completely different, so that will be fun, and we'll see how that goes, and all sorts of plans for July for how that's going to work out. So come back next week and see how that, you'll see Canadian Patriotic Sampler next week, because of course I will be working all the way on it all the way through till the 30th. And see, now that I've said that, maybe I'll work on, I was going to say, maybe I'll work on the Never Ending Nativity just for today and work really hard on the Canadian Patriotic Sampler, but July 1st is coming and I'm going to want to work on the new one too. So I need to get moving on that Never Ending Nativity. We're coming down to it. On the Never Ending Nativity, just a note, I'm in a Facebook group that is specifically for the Serendipity or Marbeck Nativity. Somebody posted a note that the frame is no longer available from Serendipity, which is where I got mine. So it was interesting because it popped up as a notification and I went, what's going on? And rushed right over to Facebook and got in the group and looked at the posting. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I made it far enough on this to sort of go, okay, you really are going to finish this. And I'm very, very grateful that I bought the specialty frame last summer so that we've got it. If you are working on it and you're now concerned that you can't get the specialty frame, don't worry too much about that. The answer is they've actually posted all of the dimensions for all of the pieces so that if you had a really good framer, you can print out their instructions where they talk about the angles that you'll be cutting it at and what to do and the size of every single piece. They've really given you the plan as to how to construct that frame. So all you would need to do is download it. It's a free download. You don't have to pay for it. You can just download it. And even though I have the frame, because you know I'm weird like this, I've downloaded it anyway, just so I have it. So you can just download that and then you can take it to your framer and they will have all of the instructions and the measurements for all of the pieces and what angles they need to cut them pieces at and all that kind of stuff. So fear not if you do not have it. The instructions are there, so you could then end up having it framed in whatever molding you wanted and still have it end up looking the same. Okay. Now, as a small little reward for having stayed all the way till the very end of this thing, and as I warned you last week, yes, this is moving into movie length territory. A couple of things for you. So hopefully I will get to have an opportunity to sit down with Jeanette again. But what I'm going to say is if you have questions that you would have liked me to have asked Jeanette, please put them in the comments down below. So fair warning here, I'm not necessarily going to run out and talk to Jeanette or get her to provide the answers to those anytime soon. If they're a question that I think I know the answer to, I will respond, but I will probably say take it with a grain of salt. This is my views. But again, if you've got questions that you would like me to ask Jeanette and you are not going, I desperately need an answer imminently for whatever reason, please put them in the comments down below, because this is the video. So the next time that I try to sit down and have a chat with Jeanette, this is the video that I will come back to and look for the comments. So even if it's like 2 months from now and you're like, oh man, I really wish she'd asked Jeanette, fill in the blank. All you would need to do is come back to this video and place a comment. So anytime up to the time that I next have an opportunity to sit down with Jeanette, feel free to put your questions that you would like me to ask Jeanette. Put them on this one because 1, it will be easy for me to find. 2, I think it will be easy for you to find, because if you come to my channel and you just search for Jeanette Douglas, you'll probably only get 4, maybe 5 videos coming up. And it's the one that's called Let's Talk with Jeanette Douglas. So hopefully that will be obvious to all. But you can put those in the comments down below, and I will, next time I sit down with her, I will take your questions in with me. The last little treat for you is for hanging on to the bitter end. I have a couple of photos I'm going to insert. So I've got a photo of the display behind me. And again, in the notes below, I will put the names of all of her designs that are showing up in that picture. She had a lovely display. And a lot of those ones that you see hanging on her walls are ones that she really does hang up in her workspace on a regular basis. And then the last picture I'm going to show, she's like, it looks like a mess, and the answer is that's not. It's something, it's drool worthy as far as I'm concerned, is I have taken a picture of her wall of threads. So as a designer, not surprisingly, she has a huge collection of threads, you know, because she's trying to pick colors and get color palettes and try things and combine things and all, you know, all the things that go with that. And so she has this glorious wall of threads. It's glorious. It's envy-worthy. And so I'm going to put that as the final picture that goes up for this particular episode. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I certainly had a great time making this episode. And with that, I'm going to go back to my regular line and say, I hope you are staying safe, stay healthy, find some time to stitch, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, guys.